All right, people, welcome to another edition of the New Breed Show, the world's best music show, talking about everything brutal, new, death, hard, slam, grind, thrash, core, metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great.
That was real loquacious there, Tim. You have another one-word answer for that one? Fine. Okay.
Great.
All right, but
Awesome.
Whatever. So tonight we have very special guests for this week's episode. Another band I didn't think we would line up. We're kind of just knocking them out here. We have James Reitz and we have Ian Hall from the band Crossbreed. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, man. Both.
Yeah. We really appreciate it. So I'll start us off, Tim. I know you've got some questions and stuff as well. I've said this on previous episodes. I thought you guys were the apotheosis of everything nu metal. You literally just took the bar and you said, okay, this is it. This is peak nu metal. It's all downhill from here. And I think it was not only the first album, which truth be told is a lot heavier than a lot of the stuff that was coming out of nu metal at that days, right? Like you guys and American Head Charge and Down the Sun, and even the first Slipknot, right? Like that was the heavier stuff where you could tell nu metal was going. But for me, I think it was the video for Underlined. I think that was it, where the jumpsuits, the glow in the dark stuff, the dreadlocks, the keyboards. I'm like, these guys are everything that was ever considered nu metal thrown together, and they make it fucking work. And that was the thing where I was like, shit, this stuff still works. Like they put it together in a way where you're like, oh my God, it's not fucking Tropy Cold Chamber. Like it really worked. So kudos to you on that one.
Thanks, man. That shit. But the cool thing is like, if you really think about what the sound of Crossbreed is honestly, is like, think of what Tampa Bay in Florida is. You have like what was the death metal capital of the world for a long time, and a club scene, like a big club scene in Ybor City. So when you think about like where we grew up with heavy metal and EDM music and club music and stuff. So we were conflicted already, but clearly we went towards the metal side, but having that element of the club scene mixed in us, it actually makes more sense as to like, why do these guys look like this? Why do they sound like that? And we were all club kids as well as metal kids at the same time. Like Florida's fun as fuck,
Yeah, I have some interesting stories from being drunk and disorderly in Ybor City. I think everybody does, right? Ybor City
had a bad night before.
And then Tampa Bay strip clubs, like those two things, they go hand in hand. But I mean, I know you guys. So you did Synthetic Division. I thought it was great. And we're eventually going to talk about the newest album, which I listened to, and I was like, my God, this thing is. I mean, it's fantastic. Like it really is fantastic, and we'll talk about that in a moment. There was a bazillion bands I heard listening.
Wait a minute. You heard our brand new album?
What is it?
It's
The
not
newest
even
one.
out yet.
The
He's
newest
talking
one.
about the EP.
Who said that?
Oh, you're talking about the EP, yeah.
You didn't even finish
that's
it.
just the wrong date. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the what was the one I just found? Was it I was listening to it earlier.
So New Slave Nation.
Slave New Nation.
Yes, New Slave Nation. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's actually from
I wrote it down wrong.
2006, or 2005, but when it was being put up online to get out.
Oh yeah.
The date, for some reason, it didn't honor it because it wasn't like the other albums that had a date and this and that. So for some reason it came out, and then I didn't give a fuck enough to change it. So I was like,
yeah, it's funny.
I was
because
like, whatever, it's fucking 2021,
Yeah, it's funny you saying that, because when I was listening to it on Apple Music, I'm like, wait a minute, is this a re-release? Because I know this came out before.
No, we ain't Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on here? And that's why
for doing that. That's a smart move. Go re-record your shit that you have the song rights to, or but not the sound rights.
Yeah.
Fuck you to a label.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that what Prince did? Right? Prince changed himself to a symbol, then recorded all his own shit, so we could have the. I mean, that's kind of, if you've got the money and the time, like it's pretty baller. But let's go back to the beginning. So you poked at a very interesting topic, James. So you guys, Mars Sound is down there, Tampa Bay, and all that great death metal came out of there. And yet you have a vibrant club scene, right? A vibrant like electronic scene. Let's talk a little bit more about that and those sort of influences, and how you guys put it together in a way that just works.
So in the beginning, like Nemzik and I always knew what the band wanted to be. Like we were big fans of industrial music, but more than anything. So like old Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, KMFDM, Pigface, and fucking love that shit. So like when we first started out, we were more thrashy. So we kind of we were sliding between the metal bands and the punk bands. So we were playing a lot of hardcore shows and stuff. But the electronics was something that Chris and I were really wanting in the band the whole time. So we started, you know, infusing it in. And then by the time we finished doing our own album, the .01 CD, by the time we released it, we were already recording like the new songs, which was completely different, which was Underline, Breathe, Stem. So we went immediately from, we knew that it was time to make that jump, and it sucked after investing so much time into an album to just dump it. But we weren't stupid. It was the right move. So we just basically just moved right past an album, released the Baby Doll CD 6 months later, and never looked back. So
Awesome.
But as far as like the stage show and stuff goes, like where all that really kind of fell in together was Izzo. Izzo and I, we were friends for a long time, but he was an electrician by trade. So like we would be working on jobs and shit, and I'd be telling him like, all right, so like I want to have this glowing show, this and that, because Crossbreed would have the conversation about we want to look the way that we sound and represent our area. So that's why we fell into the stage show that we created, was because to us it represented Tampa Bay as a whole, and it's fucking fun, man. Getting up on stage just dressed like a normal dude is boring as fuck.
Yeah, you might as well just be a grunge band, right? Like, oh yeah. What am I, Eddie Vedder? Yeah.
I mean, he's the only one alive, so I mean, kudos to him.
Well, yeah, very, very true. Unfortunately,
yeah. Thoughts of that? How many are like fuck? Like,
yeah,
wow, Vedder is the lone guy left.
That is kind of wild now that you think about it.
Yeah.
Right. Never in a million years would I have thought, yeah, he'd be the last man.
I thought Chris Cornell would outlive them all.
Honestly. Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, he had a second wind of a career with Audio Slave, and I mean,
amazing singer.
Yeah.
Hey, remember the guys from 13 said the same thing along the lines of going on stage without a mask and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's boring. Like when you go on with your mask, you can be whoever you want to be.
When you're standing in a crowd and you're looking at a stage, do you want to see dudes that look like you, or do you want to see something else, like something more interesting, shit you don't see normally?
Absolutely.
You know, not straight out of Hot Topic, you know, but you want, like, what is the custom version of Hot Topic? And that's what you're looking like.
The aesthetic really does, it stands out. And honestly, it's what gets bands noticed, right?
Hey, I mean, if you have fun fact really quick, those jumpsuits, since you brought them up, they were made by a bartender from a strip club.
That is awesome. That is awesome. How did that come about? I gotta ask. Just like in conversation, or
a strip club was like what, like a couple blocks away from the house, and like Nemzik was a regular. He's like, I found a seamstress. He's like, we're going to Oasis. I'm like, the fucking strip club? He's like, yeah, she's really good. I'm like, is she? And then I met her, and she really was legit, but I was just like, dude, how the fuck do you find a seamstress at a strip club? Like,
hey, right? Tricks of the trade, you know. You got to get those stripper clothes for your shows.
How did that come up? Like during a lap dance? Like there's so many more questions that get asked just by answering that.
Alcohol.
Can't give away all the secrets.
Right.
Yeah, alcohol, definitely.
Before you know it, you're gonna end up in a strip club. Nobody wants that, you know.
So
the trick in the clubs is act like you don't care about them, and that like they're nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, and then you just talk to them normal and ignore all of their stick, and all of a sudden they start to peel it away, and it's like, you know, then you actually get to know people, you know.
Yeah, you're just hanging out, having a beer with somebody who has virtually no clothes on. I mean, hey, whatever.
Characters in the end.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask about you guys getting signed to. Is it it's Artemis, right?
Artemis, yeah.
So I heard like I was reading about a story about like Kitty had like a thing to do with that or something. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I would never deprive them of that awesome moment. So
how did that happen?
Well, you know, as metal guys, especially young at the time, you know, and you see a band that's a metal band full of hot chicks.
Yeah.
You know, you really, really want to meet them. So we were playing a festival together, and we really wanted to meet them. And we did, and they were cool as fuck. And we hung out like all day long and stayed in touch after the show and stuff. And you know, like Phil and I would talk to like Fallon and Talina all the time because Phil was like so in love, you know, with Talina. But anyways, so they handed our CD over there to their A&R rep. And it was fucking crazy because I was sitting there watching MTV and I'm watching this dude talk on MTV about signing Kitty. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And all of a sudden that guy calls me and I'm like, Jason Weiner, like, I just saw you on MTV. Like, holy fuck. So
awesome.
they gave him our CD and he dug the songs, which was the 3-song demo I told you about.
Okay.
And he was like, I just want to come to Florida and see if you guys can play. And like, the first thought we all had was like, holy fuck, we're going to get signed because like, if you already like our songs, you're going to come to St. Pete and see us play at the State Theater with our crowd. Like, I mean,
it's going to be nuts. It's a home show. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that was like the contribution of it and stuff. You know, at the end of the day, they still have to sign a band, but they would have never found that CD if Kitty never gave it to them. So like forever, thanks for that shit.
Are you still in touch with any of them?
You know, really Fallon and I were always like cool.
Oh, okay.
So I always root on, you know, I know she's been dabbling back in music again and, you know, especially the last couple of years. So that's pretty dope. She's a really talented person too. And super, super nice person in general.
Yeah. I guess everyone's trying to figure out if that festival they're on is actually happening.
Man, I'll do it in a fucking second.
Right. Dude, there's a lot of things going around. Like, is this even happening?
It's smart. You put it out there and see which bands would say yes.
It really is kind of brilliant, right? Like, I mean, at that point, your fans are all jacked. So they're like, yo, you guys playing that? You kind of can't say no at that juncture, right? Like,
nope.
You're like, so
open that bitch.
You're publicly shamed into touring. You know, Tim, I was thinking the same thing. For me, I thought Knocked Loose, you know, because they're the outlier. They're the heaviest band on that bill. I thought once they said something on Facebook saying like, yeah, we are playing this, it's legit, but they haven't said anything yet. So I do kind of think it was like you and I in the basement. Like if we did one for like new metal, where we just threw a whole bunch of new metal label like logos and threw it out there and saw what happened.
Just pick all the bands from like the specific labels, like Napalm Records. They have, you know, like such a big roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like which one of them are all in the new metal category? Throw them all on there.
Yeah.
Because then it's like more likely to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. You line up everybody from the same roster. Yeah. From the same label, right? Because then one kind of like shames the other. The label calls the third and was like, hey, these two are in. Are you guys going to be in? You know?
I mean, I don't see us saying no at all. So.
Yeah, right. So what's like the state of the band after that happens? Because did they put Synthetic Division out, or was that out before? Or, you just
no, they put it out. Okay. We were with them after September 11th. Just kind of put the dagger and everything for
everybody. Yeah.
So then it was go to LA and start recording some singles and stuff. So a few of us went out there to work on some songs, and you know, it just, for some reason, it's just like, it was working, but it wasn't working. It's just like, and we didn't understand what it was. And then we found out our record label was calling the producers at nighttime, trying to like coach them into what they wanted and like bypassing us, which really, really pissed us off and our manager. And at that point we had signed with Bill Coyne, which Artemis helped get us. And Bill Coyne was the KISS manager. So like, this dude's got weight, you know, some muscle.
And he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first thing he was like, let's pick a fight so they drop us. And it was like, fuck them. Yeah.
Well, they put you out with Rammstein right after, right?
That was our first tour we ever did as a band.
That's fucking wild,
dude. Rammstein.
Yeah, you go from like playing Florida shows to, you know, we never played out of Florida. And before, you know, we got signed in Florida. We never left Florida. Like labels came here to see us. And then we played in New York at CBGB's, you know, for the label stuff. You know, labels do the roll up. So we got to do that. And then in Old Bridge, New Jersey, we did the
Birch Hill.
Yeah,
Birch Hill. That's my old stomping ground. Yeah,
that's where Underline was shot at. Was there? They're in St. Pete at the State Theater. They're kind of a collage of shots. So
that is wild.
Your first tour out with them, that's fucking just mind blowing to me.
How insane was that?
The real shit ever. Like, and you gotta remember, like most of Crossbreed, we were childhood friends. So like We're talking elementary school and shit. So for like us to be fans of heavy metal music for all these years, and then to go out with your first time ever opening up for Rammstein for a whole summer, like, I mean, you couldn't even script it. And did we go home right after that? No, Static X asked us to go out, so we went out with Static X.
That's right.
And then we came home and then went right back out with Static X again and did some shows with them, Mudvayne and stuff. And
Nice.
it was just awesome. It was surreal to go from like just doing it like as an unsigned act to like this whole fucking
warp speed.
It happened so fast.
Yeah.
People say that, it's true.
Ian, were you in the band at this time?
No.
Ian,
No, I was still a teenager in Florida.
Okay.
In said club scene.
Okay. But you were like a follower of the band at that time.
Not exactly. I think you know, I had a few friends that I think would go to the shows at that time. So I had heard of it, and like I kind of knew, you know, living in that area. So I had heard about it. But no, I'd come in about I want to say 2004, kind of after Synthetic Division. And there was kind of a lot of changes in the band and stuff, and almost, you know, didn't make it after that, as happens to a lot of bands. You know, you have a kind of a good success with your first album and stuff, and coming into your second one, it can be difficult. So I kind of came in during that rebuilding phase, and then so I was there for recording like New Slave Nation and KE 101 and stuff like that.
Okay.
And now new shit.
Yeah.
It's funny, James, you bring up 9/11, right? Because not only was it like culturally for us in the States, like it's like JFK, right? Everybody knows where they were when they found out, but the bands and the knock-on effects, right? That was Iowa had just come out. Toxicity had just come out. Machine had lost an entire single from Crashing Around You, which I'm sorry, Supercharger's a terrible album. Sorry, Rob Flynn. But like you guys, right? It killed VOD, right?
Yeah.
That was the nail, basically the nail in the coffin. VOD was done not long after that. I think Pantera didn't stick around. I think maybe they did Reinventing the Steel right before that, but it was that panic and then the real quick contraction. Right. Yeah. Like that was, I think it was supposed to be, wasn't it like Ozfest in the UK or Sounds of the Underground in the UK, which was Pantera and a whole bunch of bands, VOD, where it just got killed. They killed everything because nobody knew what was going to happen.
It's like COVID all over again.
Yeah.
Right. Because like after a terrorist attack, you know, doing like events and stuff was healing for America. This stuff's been like ridiculous.
Oh, it's been dragging on and on and on forever. So speaking of that, we'll bounce around topics. You guys just did a reunion show, right? In Cleveland.
Yeah, we played this summer in Cleveland and then December in Ybor.
Awesome. So let's start with the Cleveland show. How was it? What was it like being back on stage, the whole nine? Like you never left, or?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
that was at the Odeon?
Yeah, the Odeon, Cleveland, downtown Cleveland.
I seen the Mushroom Head show there where they brought the venue back. Yeah. It was so fucking packed. I couldn't believe, like, you couldn't even like move. It was unbelievable.
It was really crazy, man, to think about that, because, you know, we've taken more than a decade off, right? So I mean, we kind of left the band, and, you know, maybe one day we'd do something. Weren't really sure though, right? And we kind of moved on to a lot of other stuff, and it was really kind of surreal coming back to it after, you know, maybe 11 years or so. Maybe almost 12 of you know, not being a band, and coming out, and that show was sold out, and you know, there was people there, and all the support was there, and people were fucking into it, man. And then it was crazy to think about that. Awesome. You know, because we left, and we kind of moved on, and the people were still there, man. They're still there, they're still into it, and you know, I think that really gave us a lot of motivation, you know, kind of seeing that like, you know, fuck it, let's fucking go at it again. Let's do some new shit. Let's fucking, let's expand on the ideas we had before and try to do stuff, make something cool. And we've had a lot of time to develop in other areas. So, it's good timing now, but yeah, it was pretty surreal to see, how much support there still was, and how much people, still had love for it, and it was just awesome.
I think new metal is one of the genres where the fans definitely hold tight on the bands. You know what I mean? I think a lot of bands could come back right now and they would do just as well as you guys did on that show.
I mean,
like you guys said, 11 years. I mean, that's a fucking long time.
Yeah.
Like you got right now, you get forgotten about in a fucking month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 11 years, like that's impressive for you guys to sell the show out. You know what I mean?
Man, you want to know what the scariest thing was that first practice of walking in after all those years, and I was like, oh, how's this gonna go? And it was like as bad as I thought it would. Like everything you're supposed to do, that you're not supposed to do, like I did all of them, and I was like, but it got me back in, like week after week after week practicing. It's like you start feeling like yourself again, and it gets opened up. And even after the Cleveland show, I kept feeling like I was getting better and better, a lot more practice. And, so by the Tampa show, the Ybor show, like I was way more prepared, because there's a lot of rust to knock off,
So why, I gotta ask, why Cleveland?
Oh,
just gonna.
That was an easy question. Because the other four who played in the band all lived in Cleveland.
Oh, I was gonna say you're in Florida and Ian's in Detroit, so I kind of figured it was like equidistant. Yeah.
No, so let me give some credit though. So like that Cleveland show really happened because two guys called us up and said like, are we gonna? The quote really was like, "Are you gonna make us all wait till we're fucking dust? Or are we ready? Are you gonna do this shit?" So I was like, and that was Rick from Mushroom Head, and it was him and Dan Fox. They were like, it's time to bring this band back. So they really recruited us back to it. And then I was like, I'll do it if Ian does it. And then Ian's like, fuck it, let's do it. So we just moved forward. And then the other two guys who were playing with us, Justin and Derek, Dan and Rick got those guys, and it made it easier because then they could practice up there. I flew up there to practice with the band. Ian could drive down there and practice with the band. It was just made it easier because we were going to do the show was with, a longtime group friends of ours, which is Ventana. That's Ventana with a V.
And Stitch is in that band as well, right?
Yeah, those guys are in that band as well. And that was so it really was, they worked really hard to bring the brand back and stuff. And that show, like Ian said, gave us that motivation where it was like, fuck, people are still passionate for this shit. We knew we would be, but it's like, is there others on the receiving end from that? So because like we're coming into it with clear minds, like we're not here like all like heroined out, jacked up and stuff, like, oh, the good old days. It's like,
true,
we're performers, like we're entertainers. This is like what we love. And the reasons why, Ian and I in general, like had left the music scene and overall was to go like handle certain things in life that we were never going to be able to do. And now that a lot of those things are out of the way and it's like, you don't need it, you want it. It's a huge difference from the past to now. Like we don't need to do this. We just want to do it.
Right.
Financially, we're all good. We have jobs and stuff like that, but when it comes down to it, this is who we are.
And coupled with the fact that your fan base now is older and they have disposable income, so they're into it. And I know. But also like you have the idea of nostalgia is not as, people used to turn their noses up at it. Now it's like, well, yeah, I want to relive the shit that that music when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, imprinted on me and left me with certain memories. And I want to be able to re-experience that. And it seems to me like a lot of the bands of your era that are starting to do stuff again now, it's just the right time where everybody's just kind of looking around and like, it's like positive, like, yeah, fuck it. Let's get back in the ring and see what happens. Like
a lot of old blood from a lot of bands, and people in general, like a lot of it's just over and no one cares. It's all about, right. You know what? It's like, cause a lot of us are adults now. And we just kind of get things that some things aren't that important,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so like for me, like it's crazy. Even now, like I got like a metal boner when I saw 9 Inch Nails and Ministry.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
I was
Mitch
like,
Reb,
oh my God.
yeah.
Oh, I just came.
Yeah, you
I
know,
want
can
to
you
go to
imagine-
that so bad, but
Can you-
Jay's not going to go. So
Can you imagine how fucking loud that is going to be? Because the Ministry is known for going way above the limits that are set at the venues, right? Like that's
Like
a whole
Spinal Tap, like you know,
yeah.
take this to an 11.
It's like a running joke, right? Like,
Hey, can we smoke in here? Is that like okay?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
I
Absolutely.
know
we
this
don't
is
care.
smoking zone, you know.
No, we don't care.
Absolutely.
We don't care. But that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bands like that are starting to that had some success that are starting to come back around. Like Taproot is starting to do some stuff again. And I saw Kilgore did an EP in 2018, which I just found out about this week, which was amazing. You know, like I mean, all those guys are still knocking around. I'd love to see some more reunion stuff come out. That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
See, this
Shidlo, you
one-
just had Mushroom Head do a record last year, was it right?
Yeah, Mushroom Head did one last year.
Yeah,
Think
I mean,
about
it was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Man,
funny because when we first started this show, I remember telling Jay, I was like, "Guess what I just listened to today at work?" And he's like, "Oh, what?" I'm like, "That Crossbreed record," and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And I'm like,
mean,
"It's still
family,
fucking
right?
as good as it was." Like,
We're family, new breed, crossbreed. I mean, it's like,
and I'm like,
We
dude,
don't
like
hear-
I didn't listen to that record in, not gonna lie, 15 years and 12, 13, 15, you know, something like that. And I put it on. I'm like, dude, this is just as good as I remember it.
made you want
and
to put some Doc Martens on, didn't it?
Well, I'll tell you, I had the EP on and I had my tablet up here by my monitor, and so I control Spotify with because I have my speakers all around, and I'm working, I'm listening, I'm like, is this fucking KMFDM? Like, this isn't KMFDM, and I had to wake the tablet up. I'm like, oh, it's still Crossbreed. I listen, I'm like, who is this? This is an orgy. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Crossbreed. Like, no, I was like, man, I forgot how much I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I love,
we
I love
we aim
old
to be
bands.
as confusing as possible, I think.
Well, but it's again, what you know, Tim and I have talked about this on other shows where the bands that were the most memorable that came from that era, like late 90s to like 2004, 2005, but the bands that did things that were truly unique and they truly blended stuff together. And you guys truly were one of those. And you know, I tell Tim all the time, and we joke about it. Like every new metal band after 2004 sound either like Taproot or Primer 55. They all kind of just sounded the same. I hate to say it, but they all kind of sounded the same.
Watch these fuckers jump as I get loose.
Yeah, exactly. But
Dude, we played with them, man. They were so much fun.
saw them quite a few times. We had Josh Toomey on the show. Yeah. So let me ask you that, James, and even Ian, what the people that you toured with, the bands that you toured with. What's the one band that you remember going, these guys are going to be fucking huge, and then for whatever reason it never broke their way? For whatever reason, what were one of the bands
You
or
know
two?
There was one band actually years ago where Chris and I, Nemzik, we used to like, man, I can't believe that this band hasn't gotten, like, they were already like, they had radio, but they didn't really get there. Was Finger 11. And then that Paralyzer song eventually came out, and it was like, thank God, like those guys worked so hard and had some really fucking great songs that like some people probably don't even know it's Finger 11, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
the
song was on
7
every other fucking hour or every other goddamn half hour. That song. was
Yep.
on.
Full Devil Jacket's the other one.
Okay.
People,
Okay.
a lot of people say that band.
I think I saw them open
Weird
Tattoo the Earth.
band.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the Finger 11 though. You're right. It's like great record, and then that song hits. But I could be wrong, but after that song, it really didn't click anymore. After, right?
Well, they were one of those. They were like one of those like late new metal bands that was doing stuff that was more standard rock, like more palatable, like Flybanger and Endo and all that sort of stuff.
Endo's another one where like a Endo or like a Darwin's Waiting Room where you're like, they had the ingredients, it just, just didn't stick.
And I think the extreme world was turning towards the metalcore stuff, right? The As I Lay Dyings, and that was the Kill Switch with Howard, like it was starting to be a big thing. And then the main music world, what was the big thing in like 2005, 2006? What was pop music? I don't even remember.
Probably
Rihanna,
NSYNC
shit
and
like
Justin
that.
Timberlake.
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Well, and they were Korn and Limp Bizkit scared them away from going from things with guitars, so they went to like, yeah, let's get some Pop Tarts, some Christina Aguilera in here.
Poppy Girl. That's some cool shit, man.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
There is a lot of, and that is, I think, I want to ask you guys like the power of the internet and was that impactful to you as a band? But I think that's one of the cool things about the internet and even to an extent Spotify making music so prevalent is you can do things really unique and get your stuff out there, and there will be some fan on the other end of the terminal who's into it.
Remember that mp3.com back in the old day? That was the way you used to find new music and stuff.
Yep.
And there was a Loud Side.
MySpace.
Preteen.
Look at MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
MySpace spanned an entire genre, right? Job for a Cowboy owes their entire career to being a big MySpace band. And that's where Suicide Silence, like a lot of that early deathcore stuff. That's where
I remember Hollywood Undead just nonstop.
Yep.
Somehow like that when that's what I think of as the MySpace band, I think, the Hollywood Undead.
You're 100% correct. They were huge on there.
Yeah.
So back to Synthetic Division. How did that record sell since you're out with Rammstein? Were you guys like, how was the reactions to you guys? And like, how did the record sell?
It did really well, like especially while we were touring, because those bands really like gave us a big platform, and it was up to us to deliver. So with Rammstein, it was us, Godhead, and Rammstein. And it was awesome because Godhead and us, like the night before our first show, we all ran into each other at a strip club in Vegas. And we were all like, hey, aren't you the guys we're going to be? And then all of a sudden it's like we became friends, and like we just rolled together the whole time. I'd get up and perform with they had the Manson song. So I'd get up and do the Manson parts with Godhead every night.
Okay.
That, and Jason Miller, like he was fucking awesome. Like he was a really good like mentor type guy, because he knew we were new and kind of green to touring. So like him and his band really helped look out for us, and Rammstein did too. Yeah, so,
your first tour, the fucking band, the closing band is shooting fake cum out of dicks.
Bush dick, yeah.
Dude, that's like. Oh, so I'll give you some good shit. So like,
I was literally just gonna ask, because I know there has to be some wild shit with Rammstein.
So like the crazy shit is like their sound guy would like open your dressing room and be like, hey guys, third song, don't open the door, about a minute in. Actually, just don't leave here until after you hear everything explode. And then close the door and run. So then you open your door and you're like, oh, there's like concussion bombs all lined up by your fucking door. And you're like, holy shit. So you just sit there and you wait for like the explosions. You're like, fuck. But
that is amazing.
But since you brought up the penis, at the WAAF festival in Boston, there was like, that was the only time I remember on the tour where like a fuck ton of cops showed up. And it was because they knew that he was going to go up there and pull that penis out. And so like, it was this back and forth thing. And it was like, if they do it, we're fucking arresting them, blah, blah, blah. So you know what they did? They fucking did it, of course.
Of course.
They're like, fuck you, we're going to come all over you.
That's how you get your
shit, man.
That's how you get your fan base up right there, man.
Yeah,
you get yourself in the news. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were on tour with them. So we were like, they're probably going to do it. And other bands were like, they probably won't. Cause sometimes not worth them. Like they're fucking totally doing it. That's why we had to play in Merrillville, Indiana. Cause the last time they were here, they did that shit in Chicago when they were told not to. And then Chicago banned them. And I was like, so they had to take like a year or two off from playing in Chicago because of that. They didn't care.
Not for nothing, Boston has a bit of a reputation of being like not fun. I think that's where Lynn Strait came out of the toilet, right? It was the Boston show of Ozfest where they arrested him. That's the Boston show of Tattoo the Earth is where they banned Slipknot from the city. And they had like their next tour, they had to play somewhere outside of Boston. Like, what the hell's wrong with those Puritans? Well, there you go. I answered my own question by ranting. Yeah.
Yeah,
we got banned.
It's crazy to think about how how that stuff was happening. With Lenny Bruce way back in the day, and it's still the same old shit. half a century later, people still pulling the same tricks. We learned nothing.
No.
Well, look at Morrison in the 70s was doing it too.
I remember I tell a story, the Ozfest 97 at Giant Stadium, right? Where it was like literally platoons of state troopers there because Marilyn Manson was going to rip a Bible in half. And I remember being like, what?
Man.
What are you guys so worried about? And because of that, I didn't get to see VOD. I didn't get to see Slow Burn. I didn't get to see Drain STH. And then Phil, what's his name? Phil Anselmo was like, I want to show you motherfuckers on the floor right now. I don't give a fuck if you're up in the stands. And I turned, and if you've ever seen that scene in World War Z where there's the Katamari ball of zombies,
up the wall and everything.
That's literally what it looked like on the floor of Giant Stadium. I'm like 17 and I'm looking around and there's these bodies just coming over the wall. It was unreal. And that's like a 15-foot drop from the wall onto the floor. Didn't matter. It was packed. It was totally nuts.
When your adrenaline's going, you don't give a fuck.
Oh, and then like I saw a state police guy turn and like he grabbed Tim with one hand and he grabbed Ian with the other. And then I saw James, right? Some random third part kid walk by and slap the cop's ass as he had the two guys. So he lets go of the two guys and looks around and then all three of them take off. And I'm like, what is going on here? And you're not going to go around like the whole floor and be like, hey, do you ever ticket? You ever ticket sub? You ever take? Get the fuck out of here.
All right.
So I asked this of every band musician we ever have on. I'm going to start with you, James, and I'm going to go to you, Ian. Crossbreed gets approached to go out and tour. And you guys get to pick, you guys are playing co-headlining. So who is your co-headliner and who is your opener? So who's the one you'd take out with you to open?
Mm.
No rules, living, dead, whomever. I forget.
All right, cool.
Somebody Tim and I interviewed tried to take Pink Floyd.
I mean,
like,
I know
we'll take it.
I mean, to me, like, honestly, going out with Slipknot would be amazing. Like, I've never been able to play with Slipknot ever, which is it's just tragedy, So, and then I think, just for funsies, maybe Darwin's Waiting Room, just because
I'd go see that show. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
And the only reason why, like, honestly, because, there's so many deserving people, but they were just such great friends. Like, we loved, like, they were just family to us. Like, they were the Miami South people. We were the Tampa Bay. You had Scrape over in Orlando. It was just awesome. Cold out in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Non-Point down there, right?
Non-Point. Okay. Man, we played this show down in fucking Miami at the Chili Peppers, the underground one at Coconut Grove. And it was with Non-Point. I think it was Non-Point, Darwin's Waiting Room. It was either Endo it was Endo and us. And that was probably one of the most fun, insane, crazy shows where it was like, those uncomfortable, like they've really oversold this show. And like bodies were flying all over the stage. When we left, every blacklight we owned was destroyed and smashed. We didn't give a fuck. We were like, that was the most badass show. It was like old school hardcore. Everyone just everyone just slamming. It was just fucking dope, man. Like, that's the shit I miss. So yeah, Non-Point too. Just because, man, they're fun. They don't, man, they throw down. So
yeah, great fucking band.
I think I always thought it'd be cool to do shows with Combi Christ, which it's kind of weird that we never did.
Yeah,
it seems like it would have happened.
That would have worked, absolutely.
Yeah, that definitely would have worked. Yeah,
it didn't. But I feel like that's I feel like that would be a good bill. I think.
Definitely.
Okay.
Maybe we should do that flyer.
Oh right, yeah.
That's
right. You just say what the tour is.
Throw some Stabbing Westward in there.
And then it just you figure it out later.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Stabbing Westward, Gravity Kills, Pitch Shifter.
Yep. Headlined by Prodigy.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
That was, you bring them up. That is one of the bands that I truly do regret never seeing them play in the States, because I mean, Fat of the Land. People don't remember Fat of the Land was the last multi-platinum album of the 90s of the century. Yeah.
Yep.
That inspired so many people.
And the Have you heard the remix EP? The remix EP is just as good. Like Liam Howlett has more talent in his little finger than I probably have in my whole body. Like the guy is a musical genius.
I got to tell you, I mean, that's for me, like that's probably like at the top of my list. You know, as somebody who does electronics and programming and stuff like that. I mean, that's always been way up there. And I remember at one point, and this might be a little bit nerdy, but I remember that one of the editions of Reason, which is like a programming software, it came out that Prodigy had done their whole album on Reason, and I was like real heavy into it at the time. And when I heard that album, it just made me want to quit. I was like, "There's no way, that's not possible." Like,
I remember I cracked that.
Now, like.
I remember I torrented that program Reason. I brought it up and I was like, what the fuck is this?
It's one of those things where it's like the drumming videos where you watch like Adam Jarvis or John Longstreth from Origin, where you watch them and the first comment is always some drummer which says what you said, and he goes, "This makes me want to practice more, and at the same time I want to just throw my fucking drums out and never look at them again because there's no way I'm gonna come close."
Well, that you know, that New Slave Nation album, there's a large part of that, you know, a lot of stuff we did in Reason on that album.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I was a big fan of when like you remember Earache tried to do some of the more like aggressive gabber type stuff, and then I think Roadrunner messed around with it as well. Fear Factory had that whole, you know, remanufacture the whole remix album. I was all into it, man. I like Johnny Violence, I like Delta 9, I like that stuff, and then it kind of never caught on here on the States, like that whole gabber, and like, you know, now it's like Anger Fist and all that sort of horrorcore that they do over in Europe. I've always thought it was really cool, but it just never, for whatever reason, it just never caught on here, which was always kind of weird, I thought.
You know, and I've almost always liked the remix albums better than the albums, you know, like Rob Zombie, and he came out with that that remix album. I was like, man, we were throwing on the remix album way more than the regular album, you know. And I think that kind of laid that groundwork for, you know, some of the way that we approach songs. And you know, even now is kind of thinking about that, you know. It's like, why were the remix albums never the albums, you know? Like, what? They're fucking awesome. Like
Nine Inch Nails, they used to put out an album and a remix album. Like I mean, just to rewind really quick, Ministry and Nine Inch Nails would be the dream. Just saying, guys.
That would fucking work.
Yeah, that would work. That would definitely work.
Because we're not getting up there doing exactly what, you know, anything that they're doing, but yet it still fits. The crowd would, you know.
Speaking of tours, before I forget, because I wanted to make sure I asked you guys this. So after New Slave Nation, you guys went out with Nothing Face, right?
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know why that reaction was, but the reason I bring it up is because I fucking love that band, and I just want to know how it was touring with like Matt and them, and because to me,
terrible.
And that's exactly what I was going to ask, because I've heard that from people that like in the later stages of that band.
You know, like even looking back, honestly, man, like we, you know, none of us knew any better, you know.
Yeah.
So like they were cool dudes and stuff, you know, they were trying to do their own thing, and you know, it's just we were in the way of that, and we just kind of got there at the wrong time. You know, that tour was really booked because both bands were on it, and they wanted to just do their own thing, and then they get, you know, but overall, like, they're a great band. I wish them luck. Tom Maxwell. Yeah.
Who else was on that? Was it Silent Civilian?
Silent Civilian, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah. Dude, I remember I let Jay hear that. He's like, this is the dudes from Spine Check. Yeah, fucking amazing record.
Yeah. Yeah,
that guy, he's one of those guys that makes you sick, where you're like, man, you're really good.
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking.
I'll tell you who the secret ninja singer that I think is like so underrated. Most people might not even know how good of a singer he is. Afro Man.
Oh, really?
Oh shit. Okay.
that dude's got some soul, and you don't realize it because of the style of his songs. But we, you know, friends of ours our friend Shutang, they played a show with Afro Man and got that behind the scenes, you know, where you're really hearing what's coming out of the monitors, and you're like, man, that fucking dude is such a good singer.
Wow, I never would have thought that. Never in a million years.
Either. I just think of that one song that he had that was huge.
You won't let me fuck. I really need to bust a nut. He's holding it for ransom.
That's really kind of nuts.
So you guys also, what was it, Dope and Mushroom Head after that as well?
Yeah, a lot of that.
Okay.
Like a lot of Mushroom Head. Which
So
clearly, like, we were like fans with, like, they were just fun. Like, it was just fun to tour with them. So we just did a lot of that.
Did you guys go out with Static X as well?
Yeah. We went out with Static X and Apex Theory.
Okay.
And that was the second time around. First time was just
Apex
us.
Theory.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Apex Theory, that's the band, the Hum Diggy Sha Ra, the other.
I don't
Oh, you know the lyrics.
I that's all I know. And I know the dudes are like flying across the ceiling. They were the other Armenian band, not System of a Down, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And you know, and in Texas, you know, they had a rough time, you know, and like the Static X dudes would come out and be like, you show this band respect, you know.
And you guys actually played with Mindless Self-Indulgence too, right? Yeah, that's one of those bands I always remember the guy's Jimmy Urine, but I can never remember his name. And I'm always like sitting there, I'm like, I know it's something.
Yeah.
That was my first show with the band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. Ian dropped the keyboard right off stage.
I did. I smashed somebody in the head with it. Let me back up just a little bit because it's kind of funny. So I went down there just to try out for the band, and you know, I went down there. I was like, you know, I don't really know, and while I was there, they're like, oh well, we got this show with Mindless Self-Indulgence in a week. They're like, you want to do that? I was like, yeah, I guess so. So you know, my first show playing with them was sold out with Mindless Self-Indulgence.
That's wild.
And I did drop my whole fucking keyboard rig off at the stage, flopped right off, smashed somebody in the head. After the show, I was hanging out. Somebody came up to me and they're like, hey, you fucking dropped your keyboard on my head and it fucking split my head open. And I was like, oh shit. And this dude looked so pissed. And I was like, oh man. And he's like, that was fucking awesome, bro. I was like, oh, yeah, for sure it was. For sure. Yeah.
I knew it was coming. That he probably tells all his buddies to this
Absolutely.
Day.
Stitches, he's got a scar from the stitches.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, and then after that, I was like, all right, I think I'll stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, so in the time between you dropping that and him telling you that, were you like, oh, I'm out of this band?
No, he was liked immediately. Like, in fact, like I was like, don't let this kid leave at all. Like the other keyboard player, I'm like, you can get rid of him anytime you want. Like, I don't care.
So let me ask you guys this: what are you working on now? Right, you're still doing some stuff. You know, you kind of hinted at that early on. What's going on now?
Go ahead, Ian.
Well, we got 2, maybe 3 songs in the works right now. We're wrapping up 2, and it's kind of crazy to think about. You know, I don't know if you guys know or we're looking on our Facebook and stuff. Our old bass player Corey, he passed away a little while ago. So it was actually right before our last show that we played in December. So we had kind of gotten that news like the day before our show.
Yeah. Like I was driving like at nighttime, I got the call and I had to tell the rest of the guys, and it just like sank the whole mood.
That'll puts a damper on it.
Yeah. And one of the songs though, we were able to go back and like I actually still had the session files And one of them was kind of one of these songs we always meant to release, and it was a little complicated, and we didn't really finish it in time to release it on our last album. And then the band split up and everything. So it's kind of one of those things where like, man, I wish like we could have gotten that one out, right? Like the one that got away or something, right? Mm-hmm. So we had that, and I had found all the session files and everything. I was like, oh man, this is so crazy. And then we also found Corey's bass tracks on there, which was the last stuff that he recorded with the band. So it's kind of crazy, like pulling that up and hearing it and just kind of being like, man, like, he like reached into the future with that, and so one of the songs is that song, and we're gonna still have that, still have him playing on that song, which is kind of cool. The other song we have called No Fucks Given, which I think is everyone's attitude right now. There's been a lot of shit the last couple of years, and I think there's not a person in this country or probably anywhere else, who probably isn't at that point of no fucks given, right? Yep. It doesn't matter.
Yep. We're all fed up.
It doesn't matter your politics. It doesn't matter. Like everyone is in the same fucking like, man, I don't give a fuck. Like this has been some bullshit. Like, everybody, right? Yeah, so we have that going on, and we got a cool part at our last show. We got the crowd to chant it so that we could put it in the song.
Awesome.
So all the people that were at our last show, we're gonna have that sample of them yelling it, on the new track and stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. I think people are maybe gonna be surprised at some of it. We go from real heavy, and then we got something that's a lot more kind of electronic, crazy.
That sounds awesome. Sounds perfect.
Stuff. Yeah. So we got two different ones, and a lot of variety in there. And I think if you like the electronic shit, if you like the metal shit, if you like industrial shit, or if you just like weird shit, there's something in there for everybody. And then we got a cover song coming maybe too. So
oh, nice.
Awesome. Good stuff. What else you got, Tim? You got anything question wise?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just had it on the top of my head. Now I fucking forget what it was. God damn, dude. I was like listening to him, and it just fucking went out of my head.
When you were talking about Phil and Selmo, I started laughing. I was like, man, like first off, I saw him play this summer, and I was like, man, them motherfuckers still got it. But
yeah,
that was my first concert, was Skid Row and Pantera.
No shit.
Oh, damn.
And I was watching, like I remember like Pantera was insane, and I was like, this is awesome. And then my next concert was this event called Livestock. And then I was like, this is like how every concert must be, like this is amazing. There's tits everywhere.
Yep.
Like rednecks and like, everyone's wasted, and we're camping out all weekend. It's awesome.
Livestock in Florida, they had that festival vibe before anybody else. I mean, that was not, I mean, people do that all the time now, but like at the time, that there was not any kind of shit like that going on. And that's kind of where I had seen some of my first shows too. Yeah, it was fucking,
I remember,
crazy redneck. Like when you see, like now you see videos of like the gathering of the Juggalos and shit like that. Like
this was
like it was like on a similar level, new metal oriented festival, and it was only in Florida, man. There was no festivals going on other places, and they were way ahead of the curve on that.
They definitely were, because now we're starting to see, in the States, we see a lot of like the bands that go to Europe for the summer, they just play festival after festival in every country. And the States have started to do this as well. You have Rocklahoma, you have the big one in Ohio, you have the one in Florida. I think they do one up in, what is it, Firefly up in Delaware. So I mean, they're finally catching on. I think it's a little bit more difficult here than it is overseas.
Rock in Cadott, Wisconsin.
Everybody's doing it, right? And
it's pretty awesome, dude. I go to the Rock Fest up there every year, because my younger brother lives all the way in BFE, like northern fucking Wisconsin. So we just meet up and go to this fucking rock fest. And it is like exactly like what Ian was describing of livestock, but just like clean and ran like really well.
No fires like at Woodstock
Yeah,
99,
Wade,
right? Yeah.
The guy Wade who runs that place, runs that event is like money. Like this dude has this like well-oiled machine. They were on like year 26. So like this thing is fucking awesome. They had like 55,000 plus people there. For the camp out festival. Like they sold out all the camping spots for the first time ever. Like they had to stop letting people in. Like you don't do that,
That is absolutely nuts. You're funny you mentioned that, like a well-oiled machine. We have an upcoming episode. We're interviewing Scott, the creator, the guy who did Tattoo the Earth. And he, because he's got his book coming out, which is all about that tour. I forget what it's called. And when he sent us an advanced copy, and it was like, holy shit, man, this guy like barely got this thing off the ground by the seat of his pants. Caravan of Pain, that's the name of the book. And he's talking about like how they changed venues, and Sharon Osbourne forced them out of like Live Nation sheds. It was like this giant crazy story. But yeah, it's kind of impressive when you see somebody pull it off.
Yeah, definitely. I think James froze?
We lose him?
Oh no, he just looks like that.
Sometimes
he just does that.
We'll let you guys go in a second. I just wanted to ask, what were you guys doing musically after the hiatus? Like, when did you move out of Florida, and why the hell would you go to Detroit?
Oh shit, man.
And the only reason I say why would you go to Detroit is because isn't it fucking freezing there compared to Florida?
You're not wrong. And all my friends in Florida were like, it snows there. Why would you do that, right? And they all thought I was crazy. No, but I actually left. I moved here maybe about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up getting married.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Baby, I got a 1-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Congrats to you.
So that's what it is.
Okay.
When I say that, people get it. On my own, would I do that? No.
Oh yeah, hell no.
No way. I wouldn't just get that idea.
Oh yeah, right. Are you sitting in a studio right now?
Yeah. Actually, we're so I'm building out a new studio right now, and that's where we've been kind of fucking with some new stuff here. So I got a big basement, and now it's gonna be a studio.
Nice.
So I've been building it out. I got.
Oh wow.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in the booth. Okay.
He's in the booth. Yeah.
Well, it's quiet.
Yeah. Right.
It's got sound dampening quality.
There you go. Well,
right?
So yeah. We'll let you go in a second. But what did you guys? I guess James won't be coming back. And what did you guys do anything musically before getting Crossbreed back?
Not really. I mean, in this last 11 years, not so much, I mean, me and James, and even my wife too, we all used to be roommates.
Okay.
Me and James and James's wife and my wife, and we all lived together for like years. So I think we kind of were doing a lot of hanging out and stuff, and we had maybe dabbled in a couple other musical endeavors for fun, but for the most part, we really weren't doing anything serious. We weren't really doing music, and we weren't really trying to, and it wasn't until like James said that Rick and Dan and they came to us, and they had asked a couple times before, I think, over the years, hey, you guys, you want to get together and come, we'll do something. Yeah. Okay, you let us know about that. And it never kind of came to fruition. And finally, it was just a time where it was like, you guys got to do this. Like, the time is right. And and it did make sense, right? I mean, there's all the COVID stuff, man. It has people fucking, just like people need this shit now.
Jonesing. They're
Like,
jonesing for live
it's
events.
fucking
Yeah.
serious. Like,
Yeah.
people need a place where like they can come to a show and just fucking go bananas, right? And like, we can do that. so it works out for us. You know what I mean? That's what we want to provide for people, right? Like we want to make something that looks crazy and looks cool and give people that place to go and that outlet to fucking get out of their head and shit and fucking, fuck shit up. So
dude, and
it seems right. It seems right to do it now, and and people need it, and that we're ready.
March. I think I'm watching the band's book tours, and it seems like everybody and their mother is hitting the road. March, April, yep. May. Origin and Misery Index just announced a run this morning. Dying Fetus is taking out like a whole bunch of slam bands, which is like, holy shit, they're going to level every venue they play. So I wanted to ask you this, Ian, before we jet. What's some of the newer bands you're listening to? What's some of the stuff you've heard that catches your ear that you think other people should be checking out and not sleeping on?
Oh shit, man.
Good question.
You really got me on that one. It's honestly, I feel like I should have some specifics here, but I'm one of those people. I listen to a lot of genres. Okay. And, if I hop on Spotify, I'm pretty much only putting on new music. When it rotates in your release, either the release radars or the other things where it's like every time I'm listening to music, I'm only listening to things I've never heard. And like, I've been like that forever. But so I mean, sometimes
but that's a good answer. You're not
right.
You're not the only artist.
Stuff at me, and I'm like, oh, this is new. I've never heard this. So, I would say, there's a lot of good art out there right now, and people are doing a lot of crazy and interesting stuff in a lot of genres. And I like to soak it all in, I'll throw bits of it here and there into what we got going on. I think
we actually hear that, believe it or not, we hear that answer from a lot of artists.
Yep.
We hear that I listen to everything because I'm always trying to hear some new sounds. And then we get the guys who say, I don't listen to anything because I'm always terrified it's going to leak into my music and I'm going to end up like Robin Thicke, where I drop a beat and it was some Marvin Gaye song from like 60 years ago that I completely forgot I even heard,
Shit, man. If you have a problem like that where you need to get sued for all that money, that's probably a good problem to have.
Yeah, seriously, that means you've made it, right? If someone's suing you, it means you've made it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll wrap us up. Ian, I want to thank you, and we're going to reach out to James. Thank him for coming on as well. This has been awesome. Big surprise. This was a surprise schedule. And Tim texted me and said, "Yo, I got two guys from Crossbreed coming on." I'm like, "Stop fucking around, man. That's not funny." So we really do. We want to thank you on behalf of our audience, on behalf of all of our listeners and watchers. Thank you for coming on. This is great. We're glad to hear you guys are working on new music, and we look forward to speaking to you again. So everybody, we're going to link to Crossbreed's stuff on Spotify in the show notes, and we'll have all of our links to the socials in there. So we want to thank Ian and James again for taking the time. And until next time, this is New Breed saying peace.
Later.
All right. For James, thanks, bro.